All right. Just a moment of truth. Hey everybody, this is the Up Next podcast. I'm here with Elijah Lamb.
Hello.
It's going to be an awesome time. We've been friends for 15 years. He's my best friend.
Let's go.
Right?
I was getting nervous. I was getting nervous there.
I threw that out there.
Woo.
I was assuming a little bit.
Jeez, it's like friendship since 6 years old, and I
nervous.
felt so insecure in that moment.
Nervous, yeah. So we're best friends. Elijah does online. What do you do online?
Stuff on the...
What do you do on the internet?
Not a lot, to be honest.
Yeah. Not anymore. You
Yeah.
used to do more than you do now.
Yep.
This guy's got a big following on Instagram and he used to on TikTok. You kind of fell off on TikTok.
Thanks, bro.
I feel like you just have to address that.
Yeah.
But I did film his first TikTok, so...
Funny, you tried to make it on TikTok, but... So,
I mean,
rather fall off than publicly never make it.
Never start.
No, you started. You just... the climb. You couldn't...
So we're here in Narnia. This is pretty beautiful. And today we're gonna be talking about some fun stuff. Elijah's got his dorky little Kindle. Who do you know in 2020? It's 5 that has a Kindle.
I'm an iPad baby.
Yeah,
I'm
dude
an
is
iPad
literally
kid
an
now.
iPad baby.
Dude, it's so awesome. I have the kind you can write in. So I wrote my notes.
You could do that on an iPad, bro.
Go ahead, read my notes. Yeah,
Bro
in my handwriting.
Bro bought a bad iPad.
What? No, I can't get distracted. That's pretty great.
So today,
I can't get comfortable in this chair.
Yeah, these chairs are absolutely horrible.
This chair
They're
is a prison.
They're stabbing me in the spine.
Seriously.
Do you remember? This is one heck of a segue. Do you remember Timothée Chalamet's speech at the
VMAs?
I thought it was the SAG Awards.
SAG Awards.
Yeah.
You Googled that.
I did not Google that.
All right.
I just know things.
All right.
And he was like, yeah. He was like, yeah. I really want to be great. I want to be the greatest of all time, or something along those lines.
Yeah, he was like, I know today people think it's like corny to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was like, he was being very genuine about it, and he was like, I really want to be one of the greatest ever. And I thought that was really cool, but then a lot of people didn't. There were I think it was more people who thought it was cool than not, but a lot of people were anti-Timothy in that moment. I saw specifically older people who were like, this kid's cocky, he's prideful, he doesn't have any humility.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't see any of that.
Yeah, it was kind of drowned out by all the cool edits of him. Like
people being like, and he will be.
And it was like the shots of him from Dune.
Right.
The Lisan al-Gaib. But anyways, how do we as Christians feel about that kind of mentality? I want to be great. I want to do something great. I want to be one of the best in the world. How do we rationalize that with I think there's a stereotype. There's a Christian stereotype of, no, you shouldn't be great. You should give all the glory to God. And in doing so, that prevents you from being great.
Yeah. I don't think those things are mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
In fact, I think necessarily they can't be.
Sure.
Great things are the things that give God glory.
Yeah.
Right? So, I guess to flip the question back onto you was I didn't see any of the old people being like,
yeah,
oh, Timothy prideful. Where do you think that comes from? Where do you...
I don't know. I think young adults can come across arrogant just because we don't have the life experience that other people do. Now, Timothy's a unique case because he's already an insanely accomplished actor. So I feel like in some ways my gut reaction...
Really good looking.
Yeah, really hot.
Really just hot.
Insanely accomplished and super hot. It reminds me of somebody else I know who hosts this podcast.
You would say that about... Oh.
No, I would not say that about you.
Okay.
There's a lot of words that come to mind when I think of you. It's not insanely hot.
Name one.
Oh.
One word. A lot of words come to mind when you think of me. Just go ahead and name one.
I don't like this.
Same, me either. Go back to your point.
Yeah, I don't know. So I think like that's what that comes from older people. I saw it was all like Good Morning America like hosts that nobody's ever heard of before, and they were like,
who are not great.
Yeah, who aren't great and don't have nearly the success that Timothy Chalamet
This kid
has.
wants to be great. Guys, I'm not great, and I'm happy.
Yeah, they're like,
Okay, I don't want to be
you
great.
don't need to be great to be happy.
Being great? Who
I'm not
cares?
jealous. I'm not jealous at all.
Who cares?
I don't even like this Timothy Chalamet.
I have
kid.
a 7 a.m. slot
on Good
on
Morning
cable,
America.
on cable TV.
Yeah, who has cable TV anymore?
Seriously.
That's crazy.
Wait, are we bashing on old people right now?
No.
Oh,
I would never do that.
Right, yeah, true.
I would never do
Totally,
that.
totally.
No, genuinely though, I don't think most decent old people are like that, but I think that that's where that comes from. Is like the old person who might be a little bit insecure and say that like, you know, this young accomplished kid is just talking about how he wants to be even more accomplished than he is, and he's on the track to do that. And I think anybody with the right mind would say that. But then you have older people who are like, not a chance.
How much
Not
do you
gonna
think
happen.
about like not becoming an old, jaded person? Because I think that's,
Yeah.
growing up, there was so many things I had in my head about, you know, old people. Just it's an inevitable decline into becoming jaded and bitter toward
Yeah.
your spouse, your friends, your past, the life of work that you lived, like all your family, all the things that's just inevitably where it was going to go.
Yeah.
And I don't want that for my life.
I just feel
You
like
know what I mean?
I do think about it a lot. I do think about that a lot
Okay, me
because
too.
I don't want to be that person. But I think it just comes from an attitude of like, I'm always going to try and learn. I think when you stop learning and growing as an individual is when you become bitter to what's new.
Yeah.
Is when you stop accepting like, oh, you know, these new AI. Oh gosh, it's scary and it's terrifying because I'm not willing to take the time to actually learn what it is.
It's like that book that you put me onto, the Turn the Ship Around book.
Yes.
So good, by the way.
Yes.
The whole leader model has just been blowing my mind. But he makes the point in the introduction. Do you read prefaces to
Oh,
books?
bro, you haven't read more than the introduction.
No, I've read the
You just
first-
sold yourself out.
No, I've read part 1.
You're like, it's so good.
Okay.
The first page is
Okay.
one of the best pieces of literature I've ever read.
The summary on the back was striking.
It was phenomenal.
I've read the first.
ChatGPT's summary of the book.
I've
was,
read. I read the first part of the book. Okay, I'm working through it part by part with my pastor. So get away from me. Okay, with that nonsense. But in the introduction, he talks about.
Dude, you don't have to call me your pastor on the podcast.
It's crazy. That's wild. I would never, ever. Seriously, ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
The angel Gabriel could come.
No,
to me.
literally, what were you
yeah,
saying?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
But he talks about how the moment, like a leader, you literally cannot be a leader so long as you are settled in this mindset that you have nothing to learn. And the moment you go about life, the moment you cease to be curious,
Yeah.
and the moment you cease to believe that you have something to learn from anybody,
Yeah.
that's when you become an inept leader.
Yeah.
And that's I totally see the connection that you're making. Like that is where you become jaded, and I think it also becomes impossible for you to be great.
Yeah.
You know, like once you start feeling like you have no area, you lose the ambition to improve.
Yeah.
That's an L.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I sure hope so. That's the whole point of the podcast.
Right.
Out of us, who's C.S. Lewis and who's J.R.R. Tolkien?
I don't know, dude. That's neither of us are neither of them. We're two idiots.
No. If you had to choose, though, gosh, I know I'm not them. but
Matt Damon, Ben Affleck. Sorry.
Dang it.
Sorry, it's connected mentally.
I'm definitely Matt Damon.
I guess you have kind of like the. I mean, if we're talking about like appearance, you kind of have like that like same jaw, like bone structure. I feel like. I mean, his is significantly better.
That's flattering.
Yeah, you're like a cheap imitation of.
Walmart.
Yeah, you're
Walmart
like a
brand?
great value.
Is that Walmart's brand?
Yeah, Dollar General.
I wouldn't even know. I never shopped.
Yeah, I never shop at Walmart. Yeah, you sound like the kind of person that would shop at Walmart.
Oh my god.
Great meme.
That's a great one. Look that up if you haven't
Yeah,
watched
just
it.
Google it.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Anyway, what were we talking about?
I don't know.
How did we get to the Walmart
Lewis
thing? Oh, C.S.
and
Lewis,
Tolkien.
Jarro Tolkien. I don't know.
Yeah.
It feels prideful to claim either one of those things. Like, how
Yeah.
can I be like, oh, I'm definitely one of these two?
Yeah, I just meant our personalities, dude. You're overanalyzing
Yeah,
it.
I really am.
Gosh.
I am, bro, because I'm a deep thinker.
Oh my gosh. I'm done. I don't want to do this podcast anymore.
I don't know. There's like parts of them, like Tolkien's crazy because he just like spent his whole life working on the one thing.
Yeah.
Or at least it appears that
Well-
way. I mean, he did all of his studies in philology and everything, but like
Yeah.
so much on one project, whereas Lewis was like writing fiction, several fiction series, and like doing philosophy lectures and the radio shows and the journalism and
Sure.
and also just being like the leading scholar in medieval literature. Like I'm
Yeah.
like, bruh. I don't.
Yeah, it's a lot. I guess I'd bring them up to like address greatness because they are the primary Christians that come to mind when I think of like who are greatly accomplished Christians.
People that we are inspired by.
Yes, yeah.
A fun fact about Connor and I is that we have watched the Tolkien movie, and it's not a great movie.
Not the Lord of the Rings. Not. It's a movie called Tolkien.
Tolkien, and it's about J.R.R. Tolkien.
Yeah.
Tolkien, and it's a great movie, and we talk about it all the time.
Highly recommend.
And we've watched it, and it's not like I said it's a great movie, but I am telling you that like aesthetically, it's not like you're like, wow, it's amazing. But I just think
there's
that
a reason nobody knows about it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But there is something. Maybe it's a young men thing. Maybe it's you and I. I don't know what to assign it to. But there's this romanticism behind movies that are about people who have this insane ability to just be great.
Oh my gosh, it's my favorite genre.
Yeah, I like movies that have like a training sequence where you like watch them become great. But there's nothing better than a guy who's just the best at something effortlessly, and you're like, oh, I just want to be great like that.
Yes.
So the Tolkien movie is like that. And it's similar to Good Will Hunting. Like every dude watches Good Will Hunting, and they're like, should I get into calculus, or you know what I mean?
I need to know everything about everything.
Right.
Yes.
And then what's inspiring is the reason we talk about Ben Affleck and Matt Damon is you find out the story about the movie.
Right. And
it's
they wrote it as like their first
two
movie.
bros just writing a movie together. Like I hear that and I'm like,
how did they get Robin Williams?
I don't understand. Exactly, bro. It's like so.
It's because the script was just that good.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
But you see what I'm saying? Like their first go at it.
Yeah.
There is a bit of that that's like immature and unwise and blind. Like I'm attracted to the appearance of greatness that didn't have to be worked for.
Yeah.
But like it all was worked. There's no such thing.
Right.
There's no superhuman creative or intellectual or bodybuilder who didn't put like blood, sweat, and tears into the thing that they were passionate about. And those stories, like they take that part away. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's appealing because of how easy it is.
Yeah.
But I do think like isolating the greatness factor. Like you watch Rocky, and most of Rocky is him training for his fights, and like a short portion of the movie is the actual fight.
Yeah, the fight.
It's him working up to becoming great, because I think a lot of people like an underdog story, but I think the destination.
It's the best kind of story.
No, I like the other one better.
But
the Good Will Hunting kind.
Yeah, Good Will Hunting is kind of an underdog story.
I guess so, yeah, because he doesn't.
Like poor,
he's the janitor, and he doesn't. Yeah.
Kid who keeps getting arrested.
Right.
Calculus genius.
Ends up.
And then he had to see about a girl.
Had to see about a girl. If you have not seen Good Will Hunting, you have to go watch the movie.
Please watch it.
It's phenomenal. But I think that yearning for greatness, at least in most of the younger people that I've met, in some regard. I mean, it can be being a great mom. It can be, writing the best fantasy series of all time like J.R.R. Tolkien did.
Yeah.
Where does that come from? Why do we all want to be great? I have a theory, but I want to hear yours first.
Okay, so I'm going to answer this in like the most meta way.
Do it.
Because I'm just being me.
Mine's kind of meta too.
I'm just being me, bro. I'm just going to be me.
Just be
Anyway, I'm just Cody, bro. How does the quote go? From Surf's Up?
Another great movie. Right up there with Good Will Hunting.
Surf's Up. And he's one of those guys. He's got that crazy surf skill.
He's an underdog.
You watch it like, this penguin. I want to be him,
bro.
He wins the tournament.
Why am I not Cody? And
Big Zeke, bro.
And his mom is like mad at him. He's got so much going against him.
Yes. Let Cody be Cody, bro.
Everyone's like, Cody, do this. Cody, do that. I just want to be me, bro.
I'm like Cody, and you're like a Chicken Joe kind of vibe.
Are you for real right now?
I'm going to actually apologize for that one publicly.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Are you for real right now, dude? Chicken Joe.
Chicken Joe.
That's ridiculous.
He's pretty good at what he does. My meta answer, I've been on this kick studying the book of Genesis, and specifically the first 11 chapters before Abraham comes into the picture, really specifically on Adam and Eve, and reading all this like nerdy biblical scholarship on it.
Yeah.
And I think built into Eden, built into the world that God placed Adam into and the commission that God gives Adam, there's a necessity for Adam to be driven, to have ambition. There is this, I'm going to give this analogy, there's this anime that my little brother got me to watch called Vinland Saga.
I've seen a couple
episodes. We watched the first episode together. That's the one with the motorcycle intro. It's so good. And it's about like this Viking kid, and his, spoiler alert, tragedy happens, and he's like incredibly violent the whole first season. And then you watch, and I honestly wasn't like the biggest fan of it, but there's this scene at the end where he ends up becoming the servant of this really wealthy guy who owns all this property, and he's developed a lot of the land, but a lot of the land that he's purchased is undeveloped. And so he is like, this undeveloped land, I'm just going to give to you, and I just want you to work it, and it's going to belong to you when you're done with it, and I'm just going to expect like a 20% tax on the land, but I'm just going to entrust it to you to develop. And that's sort of what Genesis describes partially, but is then elaborated upon by like Ezekiel, Revelation, different places in the scripture. But the picture they give is God creates this good world, but he makes this especially good garden for Adam and Eve to live in and for God to be present in. It's like this primordial cosmic temple that God is.
Sure.
And God entrusts Adam with this commission to make the rest of the sort of chaotic world of the wilderness that's surrounding Eden like Eden.
Yeah.
So Adam has this commission to cultivate the garden temple that God has placed him in, to keep it pure and clean, to keep the serpent out, and then also to expand the boundaries of Eden and make bring order to the rest of the world. Finish what God started. And that's incredibly parallel for us in the Great Commission. Like Jesus comes, he brings the kingdom, he starts it, and then right when things are getting good, he's like, peace, you guys got this now.
Yeah.
That's the way that God wants to do this. God wants us to work hard and bring heaven down, and not just through evangelism or through church ministry, but through bringing beauty.
Yeah.
Peter Kreeft says that the three in classic philosophy, I love Kreeft, dude. I love Peter Kreeft. He's the GOAT.
I'm almost Catholic because of him.
Seriously. It's close. But he says that the three prophets of the human soul are goodness, beauty, and truth.
Yeah.
And
that's good.
We go to war with chaos and with darkness by cultivating beauty, goodness, and truth inwardly and being people of beauty, goodness, and truth. And that doesn't always just look like, yeah, you get out there and preach the gospel. It's a lot of things.
Yeah.
You know, something my pastor has preached on, and then I'm going to say this, and then I want you to talk. I'm just like really excited about this.
I'm here for it. I love it.
The book of Ephesians, basically, shout out to my pastor. I love you. That's what the whole book is about. Spiritual warfare. Famously, there is like the, whole like armor of God situation. And Paul uses this word, the Greek word is peripateo, and it has to do with like walking out. And so Paul's like, basically the whole book is about spiritual warfare. He's like, the way that you're going to go to war with the devil is through all Paul has to say about meeting together and praying together and being a good husband and a good spouse and the work that you do. He's like, we're going to war against Satan by having beautiful marriages and beautiful families and beautiful churches and doing really good work. Like that is how we're overcoming the devil and bringing God's beauty, holiness, glory into our world. Yeah. You got to work hard to do that. I think
that's really good, and I think it's a big piece of what where I was going with the answer of like, why do we yearn for greatness, is like a desire for something more, because I think we were made for something more. I think that's, there's a Lewis quote, and I'd butcher it if I try to quote it from memory, but like the concept is, there's like a whole party going on across the street.
They were playing a cover of Creep by Radiohead earlier, and it was so distracting.
There's so much going on around us. These people behind us, I don't know if you can see them, but they are having a baby girl. The gender has been revealed. I feel like we are, oh my gosh, just a bug. I feel like we're witnessing something special here today.
And we're in the background of all of their
photos.
Baby photos. Their paternity photos. But just you and me in the background, like.
I think Lewis talks about this concept of like we yearn for something more because we were made to live and exist somewhere else. We were made to live in a perfect creation. We were made to be with God, and so I think that desire for
that's
greatness.
Under Christianity, he says like, there's nothing that we have an innate desire for that doesn't actually exist.
Yes,
right.
Like to satisfy all of our needs, there's something here for us, and so when you're hungry, you have food. When you're thirsty, there's water, but. Lewis makes an argument for God by saying that, this desire for something more, when you lay your head down on your pillow at night and you're like, I did things right, but there's got to be more to life than this. His solution to that is God. There's got to be something outside of this world that we're yearning for.
And the question is, once you have God, what do you do with him? And I think that it's reductionistic to be like, oh, all you need is God, is you, God, your Bible, and a prayer closet. Yeah. And if you just do that, then that's all you ever. But that's not the biblical picture of being truly human.
Yeah.
The invitation to Adam, yes, is to live in God's presence, and that means knowing, hearing, rehearsing his words, obeying his words, even just regularly communing with God in intimacy. But it also means partnering with God.
Yeah.
Adam, here's my mission for the world. Let's do this together. Let's reign in the world together, human beings need that to be satisfied. We need a sense of mission. Yeah. Like, we need something to do. You know the book, what's the one about the dude?
Come on, dude.
Man's Search for Meaning. Search for Meaning.
Yes, Viktor Frankl.
Yeah.
Frankl?
Yeah, Viktor Frankl. He is a Holocaust survivor. Yeah. And he created something called logotherapy. Logo is like, it's the Greek word from John chapter 1. And he means in the sense of like meaning, purpose. It's like purpose therapy. Yeah. And basically his observation in the Holocaust was that when a man came into the camp, he could see from his composure if he was going to survive or not. Yeah. And he followed that up by being like, if a man knew that his wife and children had died, then they wouldn't last.
They wouldn't last long.
But if he did, if they had something, you know, to like Nietzsche says, a man can justify any how as long as he has a why.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's so good. Have you heard of the like study, like the thing where they took I think it was like a rat. It's horrible. It's a horrible study. They took a rat and they put him in a cup of water, and they only swim for, I think it's maybe like 30 minutes. And then they're just like, I can't get out, I'm done. And they die, and they drown. But they took a rat, and they put him in water, and then right about the 25-minute mark, they took him out and set him on the counter for a little bit, and then put him back in. And he swam for like 24 hours straight before he gave up the second time. Because he's like, there might be hope that something's going to pull me out of this situation.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know.
Philosophizing rodent.
I know.
It's Master Splinter.
Seriously. I'm like, how intellectual is this rat?
I'm not even thinking like that. Are there 4 turtles nearby? I'm gaining wisdom.
Radioactive water.
Yes. Perfect.
What's the origin story of Master Splinter?
He gets the same ooze that the turtles.
What is this ooze? I've heard about the ooze. I don't know enough.
The secret of the ooze. That's all they call it.
Really?
It's this mysterious green goo. Nickelodeon slime lands on them, and they're in like a lab, and they come to life, and he's just insta old and a kung fu master and also Japanese. Oh, that's like there's so like no explanation.
That greatness. That's that instant greatness we're talking about.
All I need is that ooze, bro. And that ooze? No, I'm not.
Give me that ooze.
Give me the ooze. I need the ooze. Where's the ooze, bro?
Where's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle ooze?
That's crazy.
Please.
Dude, definitely Leonardo. Michelangelo. Who's the leader? I'm that one.
Oh, so yeah.
Raphael. I don't know.
I think it's Leonardo.
It's Leonardo for sure.
Yeah.
There is something, okay, I do think about this a lot, like the Renaissance artist. And I've always thought to use the language of like, what was, for example, what was Michelangelo's gospel? Now, Michelangelo, when you read about his life, had a lot of like crazy immoral issues, but I know what it smells like in the Sistine Chapel.
Shut up.
To call back to Good Will
Hunting line.
I went to Rome for my honeymoon, and the Sistine Chapel, you're in there and you're like, it truly is like one of the most magnificent things you'll ever see.
But you told me Rome was not that good.
What?
Yes, you FaceTimed me while you were on your honeymoon. Crazy move, by the way. You FaceTimed me like...
You FaceTimed me a bunch on your honeymoon. How are you saying that to me right now?
I did.
You called me. You were in New York for 2 days. You called me like every 15 minutes to show me things.
Sorry, I want to invite my boys in.
I was in the oldest city in the world. I had cooler things to show you.
And you called me like 30 times.
Because I felt like returning the favor. I wanted you to know that I was thinking about you.
I do. I appreciate it.
So why are you dragging me through the mud on the podcast now?
It's just funny. And you said Rome sucks.
I didn't say it sucks.
You were like, it's not as cool as I was hoping. And I said, should we go to Rome? And you're like, don't go to Rome.
I don't believe I said that.
I promise you
Maybe hindsight's 20/20 and like it's like beautified in my mind now that I'm not experiencing whatever it was I was thinking about then.
I think you said your room was like really far from the center of the city.
I said I would totally come back, but I wouldn't stay where I was staying. I stayed like right by Vatican City, and that's really far from everything else.
Yeah. Anyways, you were saying about the Sistine Chapel being beautiful.
You're in there and you're like, there's just something compelling to the soul about beauty. It's like back to that Peter Crave quote.
Yeah.
The 3 prophets of the soul. Like, I think that if we're going to just take for a moment the idea of being ambitious about glorifying God and people knowing about Jesus, that doesn't just come through the verbal proclamation, though that's a necessary part of it. Yeah. I think God, that people who are placed in like secular workplaces, they're there for a reason. Yeah. And have like a really unique angle to pray for people and invite people into the life of the church. Like, absolutely. But I think we also have not just a responsibility, but a longing to be the reason why we find goodness, beauty, and truth around us. And when I walk in these like massive cathedrals and I look at this art that's been produced by people out of a conviction that these places deserve to be beautiful because the God who comes and meets with us in that place is beautiful.
Yeah.
You just walk away like, yeah, Jesus is God.
Yeah.
This is true.
Like it's just it's awe-inspiring.
Because I'm made to be compelled by beauty.
Yeah.
I was made to be in a beautiful world, and so much of our world is ugly.
Yes.
And when you find those traces of beauty, the two most beautiful things in the world are the indomitable human spirit.
Yeah.
And a cool church.
Yeah.
In my mind, there's like, and then maybe like a really maybe I don't know, like mountains and stuff.
Mountains.
Probably
and
some stuff that God has made.
Mountains
but I'm just
and
like
stuff.
At least beautiful things that you find in humanity.
Yeah.
Is the indomitable spirit that's like that endurance, but also like the need to paint beauty on the canvas of a world that feels so ugly, and it makes me feel like there's no way that nihilism's true, that we're all just like here
for no reason, right?
Why do we keep finding reason and impressing that reason upon what would otherwise be unmolded nonsense?
Yeah, I think you're hitting on something really cool. Like not even like my desire, but I think it is a necessity that the average person finds Christianity attractive.
Yeah,
like 100%, like legitimately, like appealing to the average person. Because I was on Reddit. First mistake.
First mistake
that. Right there.
There's only
I was on Reddit, and it was not. It was like this like r/true Christian.
Yeah, Reddit is only useful
bad.
if you like Google something and the very first resource is like some guy 10 years ago had your same problem.
Oh, that's the best feeling
and you're
in
like,
the world.
dude,
that's the best feeling in the world.
Thank goodness he bore the cross.
Yeah, seriously. He bore the cross.
Is that blasphemy? I didn't mean it like that. I just mean like he suffered. He faced. Yeah, that's my bad. I didn't mean it in like a.
But this guy on Reddit, he was talking and he was like, yeah, so like if you see a Christian TikToker or a pastor who's posting his reels onto Instagram and the people in the comments are like, this is what I needed to hear. Wow, I wish more people talked about Jesus like this. Stay clear. Like he's just because he's just like the
people
gospel.
In the comments like, this makes me want to be a Christian.
Yeah, and he's like, oh I hate this. It's like
people should never hear the gospel and have that thought. Yeah. They should be thinking, I really don't want to do this, but I don't have any other choice.
Yeah, seriously.
That's what they should be thinking.
That's what he wants.
You're a
That's
goofball.
what he wants. I'm like, dude, stop.
You're a goofball.
Stop. You're the reason that people don't like Christians because you feel like it has to be something that makes people uncomfortable. No, it should be the opposite. It should be welcoming to people.
Like people should be cringing at the thought of becoming a Christian, but like, but I really wouldn't like to burn.
But I guess I don't want to go to hell. Oh, that's like the worst motivation for a good faith life with Jesus.
Yeah, it's basically Pascal's wager.
Yeah.
And Pascal's wager is like notoriously not good for this purpose.
Yeah.
People just don't think about dying enough for that to be a valuable kind of rhetoric.
Yeah.
Like I believe in retributive justice. Like I believe in God answering evil.
Yeah.
100%. But I just think that if your sole motivator for why someone should be a Christian is, well, what's going to happen to you when you die?
Right. Yeah.
Well, how often are you really thinking about death? Not enough for that to truly motivate you.
Not only,
and even if you were thinking about death all the time, I still don't think it'd be enough to motivate you to truly live a faithful life.
Right. That's what I was about to say. Not only do I feel like it is not convincing enough, but I don't feel like it produces the right results. Like you're not going to get the right fruit when you're just fueling the fire. I mean, no pun intended. But you're fueling the fire with like threats of hell. Yeah. It's not what the average person needs to hear. And I've actually found, I don't know how you feel about this, but I've actually found that most people today are relatively convinced of their depravity. You don't have to convince them.
Oh, I'm so of the opinion that people they feel guilty all the time and they have no idea what to do with it.
Yes. Yeah. Like the average, not even Christian and maybe not Christian, I mean definitely not Christian as well, is like totally like I feel like life is, I'm lost.
Yeah, I feel messed up.
I'm lost. I'm messed up. I don't know what's going on.
I've definitely messed some stuff up.
It goes back to like there's something missing kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know if they would say they feel guilt before God, but there's definitely that feeling of like I've done things that are wrong, and I don't know how to make it right. Especially considering there's no like scheme of confession built into the worldview of a person who doesn't know the Lord.
Yeah.
Aside from like modern therapy.
Well, and I feel like the old school way of doing it, and I think it might have been necessary in like 1920 when the majority of people would say that they were Christian, at least in America, to say, hey, maybe we need to start working on your self-image, your view of yourself. You're actually not perfect. You actually aren't doing everything right, and that's also not the end goal, is to be perfect. But I feel like starting there now is almost redundant. I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, it's almost comedic. It's almost like a cliche. It's like
they're hopelessly insecure.
Everybody's got their trauma. Everybody's messed up, and it's like starting there. It feels demoralizing. It's not very encouraging.
Yeah, I agree. I recently was teaching a class, and we went line by line through the book of Titus as an example of how to read the epistles. And I didn't read it beforehand. I just wanted it to be like an organic exercise. And it's really fun because when you do that, you find out things about the book that you didn't remember were there.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, several times in the book, specifically in the second chapter, I think it's 3 or 4 times throughout the book, Paul is speaking to Titus's concern for the reputation of Titus and his church and the gospel of Jesus.
Yes.
He's several times. He's like, hey, tell these people to do this so that people on the outside won't think negatively about the Christians.
Right, so that you won't come across weird.
Yeah. He's like, you just need to command people to just like be good and like do good so that there's nothing outsiders can bring against you. And then, and this speaks to the greatness thing as well, Titus is being resisted by what's called the circumcision party, this group of heretics that were like, you need to retain all of your Jewishness, and Gentiles who convert to Christianity need to be circumcised. Obviously, it's kind of in the name. It's not a very creative name on Paul's end.
Yeah.
Circumcision party, it's like, I wonder what those guys thought.
Yeah.
You know? Just really obsessed.
I wonder what they spent their time doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Weirdos, right? But he says to Titus, he says, do good works as an example to like vindicate yourself. Yeah. And also, Titus, preach a really sound, good message so that nobody will have anything bad to say about you. Yeah. So literally what he says, like preach really good. Like curate your craft and preach a really sound message that answers to all the nonsense they're talking about and convicts people to believe the real truth. Preach really good, Titus, so that no one will have anything bad to say about you. So that, because Paul is encouraging this young, discouraged pastor named Titus, who feels like he's never going to come back from the fact that the circumcision party has just totally thrown his name and just dragged his name through the mud, you know? And Paul's like, just do this. You'll restore your reputation. God will vindicate you. And people will know Christianity is what it is today because we have in history have had such a good reputation.
Yes, because people have admired us. And I think what sets it apart, okay, so here's where people get caught up on this, I feel like. It's the same issue with greatness. I want to be great. It's the same issue with like trying to come across culturally relevant or cool, which I think is important. But it just can't be the goal.
Yeah.
Like, your goal can't be, I need to make my name great. Your goal can't be like, I need my church or my whatever to be super culturally relevant. I don't think that can be the destination.
Yeah.
The destination has to be building a reputation for the church that honors God.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times people use God as the ladder. They use him as like the vehicle, the means by which we achieve the goal of being great, the means by which we achieve relevance.
I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength.
Who strengthens me. Yeah, right. It's
Today I was in a tattoo shop with my brothers, and this guy had a tattoo that said Phil 413, and my older brother looked at him and said, who's that date for? Who's Phil?
Oh, dude.
And he looks at him and goes, Philippians 4:13.
Oh my gosh.
my brothers and I were just dying laughing about that.
That's insane.
Yeah.
What tattoo you get?
He knows what I got.
I know. I want him to show it on the camera.
My family movie growing up was the Disney movie Brother Bear, and I will stand by the fact that that's the best animated Disney movie.
It's not true.
By far. Okay.
It's not true.
Name a better one.
Ratatouille.
It's Pixar, I'm pretty sure.
It's Disney and Pixar.
Yeah, but that doesn't count. That's
Cars,
a crossover.
Cars. Also
That's
Disney
Pixar.
and Pixar. Also Disney and Pixar.
If it doesn't count though.
Ratatouille
it's a crossover project.
Has
it's like a super group.
The Incredibles. Once again, it's Disney and Pixar. But so you're saying
name one
just
that isn't Pixar.
Disney exclusive? Princess and the Frog.
Oh my gosh.
Princess and the Frog is really good.
Not better than Brother Bear.
Go back and watch it.
Dude, he gets turned into a bear, dog.
Can I tell you
and
something?
And then he goes through he has an odyssey.
Can I confess something?
You never seen it?
I've seen it once and I fell asleep.
Oh my gosh. It's like a profoundly heart-wrenching, moving movie. It's so mature for its audience.
It's about a dude who turns into a bear.
How can you know why he turns into the bear?
Why?
Do you know why?
Why?
Because his older brother gets killed by a bear, so he kills that bear, and the spirits turn him into a bear because he killed a little bear's mom.
Spirits?
And now he has the bear.
That's what we're encouraging on the podcast.
It's not demonic. It's not.
That's what we're encouraging on this podcast.
And he learns brotherhood and has to bear the responsibility of raising this bear. He has to confess to the little bear that he killed his mom when he realized he puts 2 and 2 together, and he chooses to stay a bear in the end for the sake of brotherhood. He goes through a hole. His older brother, his middle brother, the one whose tattoo I got, is hunting him down the entire time because he thinks he's the bear.
Murder, demonic oppression, and identity issues. That's all I heard.
All things people in the secular world are facing that we need context for. Boom, baby.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I just drop kicked you.
Yeah, that was so good.
Anyway,
I need to watch it.
you were saying.
I don't know.
But you were talking about.
I don't know.
I did have a thing I thought about what you were saying. The language that you used about like let's make a name. Like I want to make a name for myself and using God as like the ladder. Yeah. So interesting. We were talking about this last night. Again, back to Genesis. Here we go again. The language in Genesis chapter 11, the story of the Tower of Babel. Mm-hmm. They literally say, "Let's build a tower to God, so we can make a name for ourselves."
Yeah.
That's their language. Actually, I wrote it down on my Kindle. Thank goodness I have this thing.
Gosh, get an iPad.
I don't want an iPad.
Get an iPad.
I want a device that just does one thing.
Did you think about this?
What?
You could play Clash of Clans if you had an iPad.
I don't want games on my I don't want to be an iPad kid. Coco Melon. I don't want that, bro. You want that. I don't want that.
Bro doesn't have his town hall.
I'm more productive than I've ever been in my life.
Bro's never maxed out his town hall.
I haven't, and I never will.
All right, keep going.
Goofball. Genesis 11:4. They say, "Let's make a name for ourselves," and they're using God as a means. Let's build up to God. Let's make something really impressive that goes up to God, using the fact that God is up there. And look, we've constructed something so all the peoples will be like, wow, look what they've done. God is the vehicle for their fame. The inverse of that is in Genesis chapter 12. God shows up to some random elderly nobody in Mesopotamia and is like, hey, he says, I will make your name great. In Genesis 12:2.
To Abraham.
Yeah, to Abraham. Yeah. It's the inversion. Yeah. It's like, oh, let's make a name for ourselves by climbing up to God and building our thing.
Right.
And God comes to Abraham and says, hey, Abraham, like, I'm going to trust you to build my thing. I'm going to send you. You're going to leave behind what you know and go through this incredibly humbling path. Give up everything. Literally, like, demonstrate yourself willing to give up everything you have, which it culminates in Isaac. But God's promise to him, 2 verses into the chapter following the story of Babel is, I'll make your name great.
Yeah.
I'll give you a name.
Yeah.
You're like, what the heck, dude?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I think realizing in life, whether it's with your career or whether it's with your family. I'm learning this right now. I've got a 10-month-old daughter at home, and like realizing that everything belongs to God.
Yeah.
It's a cliche, but like that, like you are a steward, like a temporary manager of something that God has given you. It changes completely how you live your life. Right.
I've been talking to people about that, like with the mind. Because people, when people use that language like, oh, my brain just does this.
Yeah.
I think that's cringe.
Yeah.
Your brain, bro? That's you.
Yeah.
What do you mean your brain?
Yeah. Well, hold on. I want to hear where you're going with this because I might push back.
Well, I believe that you're meant to be the steward of your mind.
Yeah.
So what's going on up here? Like, nobody is responsible for that except for you. Now, God promises to partner with us because he knows the chaos that we can experience in our heads, which is why he's like, yeah, renew your mind. Put on the mind of Christ.
There's a helicopter. Oh, it's so sick. It's one of those like hospital helicopters.
It was blue. It was really cool.
It's one of those hospital helicopters.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It had like a superhero vibe to it.
I was trying to see if they were like, have you seen that video where they take the girl up in the helicopter and she's spinning in the little like? You've never seen that?
Crazy.
Oh my gosh! Can we get that on screen and post? Yes. Okay. Cool. Bing. I would like, dude. It's not gonna fit in your hand.
Yeah, it's gonna fit in my hand.
It's not gonna fit in your hand. Look, we can hold it. No.
Hold it with me.
No. To the side.
Right there.
Yeah. It's.
Give it time to play. Give it time to play, dude.
No, I'm not holding my hand.
Freeze frame it, probably.
Yeah, we can do it.
You were looking to see if somebody was spinning around?
No, I was just looking to see if they were carrying somebody because there's a video where they lift her up. I mean, they just watched it now, but there's a video where they lift her up and she's like spinning like, I think she must have died.
That's
or
really
maybe
dark,
just gotten a lot of money.
Yeah, hopefully.
It was a major mishap on the helicopter.
Got a really bad tummy ache, probably.
Yeah, it was super
bad. Just flew up a little.
It was super bad stomach ache.
Just probably was like, oh, I feel like I'm going to be sick.
Yeah. Was I saying something or were you?
I finished my thing and then you
started.
I kind of finished it, but you said you wanted to push back on it, so I'm curious as to where you thought I was going.
Oh, well, I was just going to say, like, how do you rationalize that? Like, only you're responsible for what happens up here with, I think, what is really common today, and I don't know if I disagree with it either, but it's like the whole concept of, like, you're not your thoughts, which I think is reassuring to some people because there's that whole, especially nowadays, like intrusive thoughts and, you're what you do, not what you think. And
yeah, I don't think those things contradict.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody can control having intrusive thoughts. I have intrusive thoughts all day, every day.
Right.
Like dozens of them every day.
Yeah, care to share any?
No, bro. By virtue of them
That's
being
the whole point.
intrusive,
That's the whole point.
I'm going to keep those to myself.
You should not share
I have these like sociopathic, murderous fantasies.
I don't want to be your friend anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've already thought about what I'd do to you if you said that to me.
That's insane.
That's crazy.
Felix, how much do we have left? I mean, or not left.
How long have we been going?
How long have we been going?
50 minutes, I think.
50 minutes.
50. Bro's a yapper.
I
40.
just sat down like 5 minutes ago.
Seriously,
I feel like.
went by so quick.
Okay.
No, but I think you can rationalize those things because although someone's not responsible for intrusive thoughts,
Sure.
there is a way. I think there's only one way really to overcome repetitive intrusive thoughts, and it's to continuously take responsibility about shutting them down.
Yeah.
Continuously looking them in the face, facing them, thinking about why am I thinking this, and then what's the truth. That's the language Paul uses. Let's take captive every thought and make them obedient to Christ. Paul anticipates that you're going to have thoughts that are not from you, that you don't want to be having, and that's okay and that's normal, that's to be expected. For me, when I struggled with my mental health for so long, is because I didn't know how self-talk worked. I didn't have any frame of reference for the fact that I could be co-ruling my mind with God, and that God could bring me mentally and emotionally into a place of flourishing as I took responsibility and joined with him. Again, I think we make the mistake of thinking that God wants us to be like, here, and then he's like, okay, I'll do all the work for you.
Yeah.
No, I think that this is the kind of relationship that we have with God, that God desires to be our companion on our way, to work with us, to accomplish his will in and through us and beside us, rather than just on our behalf. We do these things with God. And I'm glad to have learned that.
So would you be comfortable saying that like that kind of companionship with God is what makes us great? Because I think like defining greatness is tough for me because there are a lot of like, and I don't want to throw this as a buzzword, worldly feels like a very buzzword, but like worldly definitions of what it means to be great. But I mean, I think, you know, the guy who works his farm every day and he never has an Instagram and never blows up to celebrity status.
And he's faithful to his wife.
Right. But it's like, that's
kind to his neighbors.
That's a great life.
Yeah, I rock with that guy.
That's a really great life.
Yeah, I do think that greatness will look different.
Yeah.
For different people. At least like career greatness, moral greatness, there's one standard, and it's Christ, and that's what we're looking for. But I think you have to like press up against the world's definition of greatness with the biblical definition. The disciples in Matthew 18 come to Jesus and say, who will be the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And Jesus pulls the children. He's like, become like one of them.
Right.
And part of it's not the whole picture of what's being communicated, but I like to envision that Jesus is like, there's a max height on this ride.
Yeah.
And if you're not willing to shrink, then you won't fit.
Right. It's humility.
Yeah. The kingdom has a very small door.
Yeah.
It's the eye of a needle that you have to squeeze through. And if you're not willing to humble yourself and shrink, I love the language. 3 times in the scripture, the language is used. God resists the proud and gives grace to the humble. Or he uplifts the humble.
Yeah.
And the archetype of that is Christ. Jesus uses a language in John chapter 12 that I'll be lifted up, which is that royal language. I'll be enthroned. The Son of Man is going to be enthroned to draw all nations to himself.
Yeah.
And he's literally referring to his crucifixion. The Son of God, that's when the first time someone looks, the Roman guard looks and says, surely this was the Son of God.
Right. I mean,
Jesus' weakest, most humiliated, most ungodlike, at least from our terms, moment.
Yeah.
That's when he opens his eyes and goes, surely this man was the Son of God. Jesus' greatness is demonstrated through his lowliness, through his suffering, through his shame.
Yeah.
Like, that's his... Jürgen Moltmann has this quote where basically he's like, the fact that Christ is the exact image of God, which was what Paul calls him in Colossians 1, means at the cross, this is a God moment. Christ is no less God. In fact, he's most obviously God upon the cross. The greatest revelation of God's godness to humanity is Christ on the cross. The greatness of God is revealed through God's willingness to condescend to us, bear our sins, bear our punishments, like to humble himself. That's incredible.
Well, I think it's the humility, but I also think it's paired in that moment on the cross with, obviously, the biblical word is sacrifice.
Yeah.
But I think the practical word, I was listening to a podcast with Rich Wilkerson.
Yeah.
Love his stuff. And he was on a podcast with another pastor, and he said that...
I'm thinking about bleaching my hair so I can look like him.
That's crazy. Don't do it.
Would it be bad if I did?
Yeah, you wouldn't pull it off as well as he does. No.
He can pull off anything.
We almost did this in high school. We almost got frosted tips, and we never did. Do you remember that?
Yes, I thought about that.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought about that. I always thought that someday I was going to grow up and be a really handsome preacher like Rich Wilkerson. And then I'm just
You
like
missed that
aging, and I'm
train.
like,
You missed that
no,
train.
he's just so handsome. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way I'm on that level, dude.
Yeah, this is the Rich Wilkerson fan podcast.
I'm a huge fan
I am
of
a
his
giant
physical
fan.
appearance.
Whoa!
What?
Whoa!
No, I
whoa,
love his. He's
whoa,
amazing.
whoa.
I love his preaching. Did you see the analogy he gave about?
Wait, I didn't even say what I was going to say.
Right. Sorry.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So,
I just was gonna off topic talk about Rich Wilkerson.
No.
We're just huge fans. Junior.
Oh yeah.
Rich Wilkerson Jr.
Junior. We're talking Junior here.
We're talking Jr.
I don't get.
Sean Kingston.
I don't know much about Senior. I've
Me
heard
neither.
good things.
From who? Junior?
My dad.
Cool.
My senior.
Oh, fair. You're a senior?
Yeah, he was all about Rich
Cool.
Wilkerson Senior.
You're not a junior.
No.
Yeah.
Anyways, Rich Wilkerson said that being a good leader, being a good Christian, and being great in general, it all stems from being helpful. How can you really be helpful? And obviously,
So that's paired to like the sacrifice idea,
yes,
is what you're saying.
That sacrifice idea is like sacrificial love, what we see on the cross. Obviously, that was the greatest act of helpfulness, if I can even say that, in all of human history was God,
Well, no, Paul says,
bridged the gap.
well, we were helpless.
Right.
We needed to be helped.
We needed to be
Yeah, I
helped.
totally think that's a great word.
And so I think like as a Christian man today, what I'm thinking about is, I think you achieve greatness by being someone who is humility. You see who has humility. You see that story we talked about this the person who sits at the end of the king's table and is
the parable.
exalted when the king sees him down at the end and says, "No, I want you closer. Come up and sit at my right hand." He's humble, but then also someone who's like extremely helpful is how you find greatness and how you do it in a way that's not about you. It's about adding value to the lives of other people around you.
Yeah, James says in James 3:16, again, Kindle, clutch.
Yes.
So clutch. Where there is envy and specifically selfish ambition, there is disorder and every evil practice. We
need to get a Kindle ad on here. Can we get sponsored by Amazon to promote the Kindle?
You hate it on their device. They should just sponsor me.
We should just bleep it out every time. Every time I hate on it.
No, every
so
time
that
you
when
say the word
good,
Kindle. Ready, watch. Ready, do it right now. I love my brand new Amazon.
No. Well, they need to bleep Amazon too, or it's too obvious.
Oh. So then they don't know what
this is going to be too much.
Just a couple bleeps, guys.
Too much imposed. What were you saying? I
don't know, man. Oh, James, ambition is fine.
Yeah.
But the moment it becomes selfish ambition, he's like, the moment you have selfish ambition, there's disorder and every evil practice.
Yeah.
Godly ambition brings order. Selfish ambition brings disorder.
Yeah.
So godly ambition works with God, with what he's doing. Selfish ambition works against what God is doing because there's a willingness in it to tear others down, to climb atop other people and use other people to climb and get ahead. You know what I mean? There's a willingness to be unethical. There's a willingness to gain dishonestly. And maybe there's some of those like the stronger examples.
Yeah.
But even so, at the heart of it, there's a willingness to love yourself more than anything else, and to put yourself and your name and your reputation and your at the center of your meaning,
right,
and the center of your life, and that's a mistake. And we learn that from Christ, who in his life didn't think of himself that way.
Yep.
So
I think, in summary of this entire podcast, Jesus is the reason for the season.
What?
Yeah, he's got to be the reason behind it.
Where I live in Los Angeles, there is a car dealership that has a massive decal on the front windows. Jesus is the reason for the season, and right in the middle of the words is a giant Jesus, and it's there year round.
Oh, year round.
Year round, they don't take it down.
That's crazy.
I think they just put it up one Christmas, and they were like,
"Why take it down?
It's summer, and Jesus is still the reason."
He is still the reason for the summer,
I guess.
Yeah. I think just to summarize, and then I'm going to ask you one more question to close. Unless you have any closing remarks, I'll give you a chance in a second. It's my turn.
Has it been that bad?
No,
it's talking that much.
You're a little bit of a yapper.
I'm just really excited. I'm just really excited
dude,
to be
why we're
here
friends.
doing this with you.
That's why we're friends. That's why we're friends.
Look, if I was hosting...
I mean, are you not getting an invite back? Yes, you're not getting an invite back.
Are you kidding me?
But
I was literally like daydreaming about the next time we're going to do
No,
this.
it's going to be even better next time.
A rooftop. Downtown Orlando, helipad, rooftop. And in the background is the
swinging lady, yeah. We can Photoshop that in. We can AI that in.
Can we?
We probably.
Oh, we got a yes on that one.
So what we talked about today, just to make sure, but we don't want to hit anything else before we end, right? We talked about greatness. Is greatness okay? Yes, but Jesus needs to be the center of that greatness. He needs to be the reason for the season. Man crushes. We talked about Timothée Chalamet and Rich Wilkerson Jr.
Is there any
Is there any other?
We
also said Matt Damon and Ben Affleck.
Yeah, with
this has been a lot
the bone structure.
Yeah,
we've been talking about a lot of guys.
little. Maybe we can cut some of that in post.
Look, there's nothing.
Do something about that.
The Book of Samuel goes out of its way to describe David as being handsome in his like list of character qualities.
Yeah.
So what? I want to be.
So what?
If
the Bible does it, we can do it.
Well, so what? I want to be put together.
That's what that means.
Yeah. I'm with that.
And then I would say the last thing I want to hit on as we talk about greatness, what's something that you suck at? Or maybe you used to suck at and you don't suck at it anymore. I guess that's like the vanilla answer if you don't want to like be too vulnerable or whatever.
Sometimes I feel like there's more things I suck at than I'm good at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a really great question. Do you have an answer for yourself?
Something that I suck at?
Yeah. Something you're not great at that you want to be great at?
I don't know. I think it's a cliche, but I think it's true for a lot of people our age, so I'm going to say it. I need to get better at like my time management and my like planning and my like allocation of time, because I have a super obsessive personality, and so like I get really attached to things. I mean, this podcast or whatever it is that I'm working on at work, and I think sometimes the things that I really care about and the things that really matter to me fall to the side, and I don't want that to happen. There's that distinction. I forgot who it was that made it, but there was a book I read where they were like, there's a difference between things that are important and things that are urgent. Mm-hmm. Sometimes urgent things you don't need to do, but they feel this like they have this pressing weight on you, and you really have to decide in your life what's important. And I think I want to do that. What's important to me in my life? That's what I need to work on.
That's really wise. That was like,
thanks,
I felt
man.
like, wow, I'm going to think about that later.
You're flattering to me. Thanks, man. So you don't have anything?
Explosion on your end? Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. My time management is like
boring. You just copied me.
Do you know my time? You know why? Do you know why my time management is bad? Do you know why it is?
I don't want to hear it.
You know, bro, because I get daily. Should we play Warzone texts from you? And I cave. And I play.
Genuinely, we play video games together. I'm 22 years old. I have a kid at home. I often I think to myself maybe every time I get off the game that I'm like,
that was my last time.
I'm not doing this anymore. Yeah, like should I still be playing video games? But then there's a part of me that's like, my best friend lives in California. We don't get to do this a whole lot. Yeah. You guys are witnessing a miracle right here.
Male hobbies are so chill.
Yeah.
Video games are
Stop hating on male hobbies.
I agree.
That's what I need to work on.
Absolutely.
I need to stop feeling guilty about my hobbies.
Like things that are just fun.
I'm just regressing on everything I just said.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to do more.
Stop feeling guilty about just going after those things that just feel urgent that I'm just obsessed with.
Yeah, I need to be more obsessive.
Wow, man, that's really wise. I
think that's the
learning a
end
lot from you. Yeah, 100% time management. I want to get better about like communication. I just suck at like answering texts, answering emails. I just suck at like administrative things.
Yeah. I'm
really bad at those things. I suck at like responsibilities that feel like a nuisance to me.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a rebel, a bit of a questioner, and so if someone wants me to do something that I think is like a waste of my time,
right,
I have a hard time like overcoming the thought that's like
figuring out when you want to film a podcast with your best friend.
Yeah, absolutely.
This guy told us 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock is when he told us today. We started this at 6.
Whoa, that is not what happened.
6:15.
You said, let's do 3, and then I said, okay, and then I said, actually, we got to do 5, and then I texted you, and I said, actually, we got to do 6.
He said, oh, I'm going to get a Brother Bear tattoo with my brothers. And
my little brother graduated today. I also don't have a car here. Like, do you hear what he expects from me?
And then I'm stressing out.
Here's what you need to get better about. Your expectations that you place on others.
No, here's what you suck at.
No, I'll tell you what you suck at right now.
I'll tell you right now what you suck at. No, I went to a super target isn't even the word for it. It was bigger than that. It was more than a super target.
Super target.
It was a super
a mega target.
A super duper target.
An ultra target.
And I'm telling you right now, I have never seen a bigger target in my entire life. Because I wanted to buy these lawn chairs.
We have tiny targets. I just call them tar. Or just get targ.
It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You're so stupid.
Unsuper target. Anti-super target.
You're so dumb. You're so dumb.
They were so small. They didn't have parking lots.
I had to buy these chairs because I didn't want to sit on the grass.
Awful chairs, by the way.
They are horrible chairs. All they had, this dumb, stupid Target.
Seriously.
And the guy, I'm in a rush. I didn't want to be late for this. And the guy tells me, he's like, yeah, they're in the far back left corner. Imagine the biggest warehouse you've ever been in. I started running to the back left corner.
Running.
Sincerely,
you're running.
I promise I was
Speed
running.
walking or like
running.
Full.
Like there were moments where I wasn't on the ground.
Because
I think speed walking.
You were levitating,
you
bro.
You always have a foot on the ground. And I mean, I should have tracked it on Strava. Dude,
You're so goofball.
Dude,
Too bad I wasn't wearing my Aura ring.
Yeah, seriously. And
monitoring my speed.
The one day I don't have my Apple Watch on, I go to the Super Target.
Dudes who wear Apple Watches, I have no respect. I have no respect for a dude who wears an Apple Watch.
Can I tell you something horrible about me?
What?
I own 2 and I don't wear either one.
Why? Why did you buy them both?
Yeah.
You bought them both yourself. Why don't you wear them?
It's been good having you on the podcast.
What happened in the back corner of the Target?
What?
What happened in the back corner of the Target?
That's the end of that story. Oh my gosh, there's a one-wheel gang rolling by. Hey, can we get this on camera?
There's a tree in the way.
It's like dirt bikes and... Oh.
Is it cool or is it... Oh, they're right here. Just get those guys. They just rode right through the...
They're closing in on us.
Those guys just rode right through our set. What the heck?
Dude, this is mad disrespectful.
That was insane of them to do that.
Yeah, they're having more fun than I've ever had in my life.
Okay, you tell me honestly as a best friend.
Yeah.
What is one thing you think I could improve on? That you think that I'm not self-aware enough about?
You're not self-aware enough about?
Yeah, like one thing you're like...
Your haircut.
Oh, come on, dude. Give me a real... Wait, you really don't like my haircut?
No, I love
Why'd you steal my haircut then?
Dude, why do you think
stolen my past 3 haircuts.
Why do you think I always wear hats? I don't know what I'm doing with my hair.
Yeah, neither do I.
Don't take hair.
I literally just stopped showering. Or, well,
whoa,
I stopped washing my hair. It's not the same. I
dude,
still
you're
shower.
You're gross.
Okay, greaseball, take your hat off.
It's not greasy, but I'm not taking my hat off.
Does my hair look greasy? No, because I haven't washed it in 2 years. So
dude, that's disgusting.
It has all the natural oils.
This is my pet peeve. I have 2 close friends, him included now, who do this stupid I don't wash my hair thing. You're just gross, bro. You probably use native deodorant, and you stink.
No, I use Dove spray because it doesn't stain your clothes. Like I'm wearing a white T-shirt, dude. I don't want armpit.
Yeah, I use native deodorant.
Honestly tell me.
I use native deodorant.
Like, yeah, I know that you do. It's the worst part. Tell me one thing
Lavender
that you're
too.
like,
It's a super feminine scent. But
yeah, that's the girl scent.
Sometimes they don't have it in the men's section.
You gotta buy like amber wood and rocks.
But lavender smells so good.
You gotta buy like fire and lava.
I smell
and 4-leaf clovers.
Yeah, what is with that? Female scents are always real scents. Men's scents are never real scents.
Men's scents are like surfing in molten rock.
Cosmic rewind. What does that mean?
Gamer's corner.
Can you tell me what that's gonna smell like?
I'm smelling it and I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, they're right.
That's just rose, bro. That's just a normal smell.
But it's dark rose.
But it makes me want
anti-rose.
It works on me.
Do you not have anything that you're like, oh man, I wonder if Elijah knows that he like sucks at this, but like I wouldn't want to tell him.
Dude, no, I don't. I mean, do you have that for me? I feel like you're asking.
No,
you're doing that thing that when people ask
positive things about you.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. That's not true though.
That's true.
Okay, cool.
Connor and I have never gotten in an argument before.
This is not even a joke. We don't really argue. I mean, can you think, are you like holding back right now? Can you think of one? Because I can't think of an argument we've had. We really just don't argue. We don't disagree on a lot of things. And when we do, we don't talk about them.
We just don't.
Yeah.
We just both acknowledge, like, we just see this differently.
Yeah, like, why waste our time?
I have zero interest. Because I just trust you the way that you come to conclusions, and I know you trust me.
Yeah, it's like...
So I'm like, he probably has really good reasons for that.
I would agree.
Yeah. This stopped being valuable like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, this podcast ended an hour ago.
Hey, this is going to be a really amazing podcast. Thanks for having me on episode 2.